She vanished without a trace, no screams, no struggle, no sign of forced entry. Just a quiet home, a cup of tea left unfinished, and a woman who was never seen again. For 38 years, her loved ones lived with unbearable silence. Until one day, a box arrived at the sheriff's office with a human jawbone inside and a hand-drawn map that led detectives deep into California's wilderness. What happened to Kay Medin is not just a cold case. It's a haunting riddle written in bones, buried in time, and stitched together by fragments of truth no one dared to speak aloud. Until now. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you're drawn to gripping, real-life mysteries that deserve answers. We uncover hidden truths, expose injustice, and give voices to those long silenced. This is not just another disappearance. This is a story of a woman stolen from her world, and the anonymous clues that may finally unmask her killer. Stay with me, because once you hear what happened to Kay Medin, you'll never forget her. The summer of 1987 in Hyampom, California, wasn't supposed to end in silence. The mountains stood still as always. The creeks hummed their soft song, and the little town that stretched along Highway 36 lived in predictable rhythm. But that August, something shifted. Something disappeared. Her name was Kay Medin. Kay was not the kind of person who vanished. She was steady, rooted like the Douglas firs around her. At 48, she was a beloved elementary school teacher at Hyampom School, a place so small her students doubled as her neighbors. Her days were filled with lesson plans, quiet afternoons on the porch with tea, and tending to the garden out back. She was the type of woman who could fix a squeaky desk drawer and comfort a sobbing child in the same breath. That first week of August, her husband, Nicholas Medin, had taken a business trip. When he returned home on August 3rd, something was off. The door was unlocked. Kay's purse was still hanging on the hook. Her car was in the driveway. Her glasses, she never went anywhere without them, were folded neatly on the kitchen table next to a half-drunk cup of tea, now cold. But Kay was gone. He called her name, checked the garden, searched every room in their modest home. Nothing was out of place. Nothing broken. Nothing stolen. Just absence. The sheriff's deputies arrived hours later and quickly determined there were no signs of forced entry, no blood, no evidence of a struggle. But there was no sign of Kay either. They filed a missing persons report and canvassed the area, asking questions, putting up flyers. But no one had seen Kay since the afternoon before. She hadn't shown up at school. She hadn't told anyone she was going anywhere. One neighbor remembered hearing her wind chimes around dusk, and another thought they saw her walking along the edge of property with a watering can. That was it. A lifetime of familiarity, suddenly interrupted by nothingness. In the days that followed, the search intensified. Volunteers combed to the forest trails. Dogs were brought in. Helicopters surveyed the land. It was as if the earth had swallowed her whole. Weeks passed, then months. The case grew colder than the Trinity River in December. Whispers of possible suspects floated through town. Someone she knew, a stranger passing through, but there was no trail, no clue, no motive, just heartache. Then, on November 25th, 1987, 3 months after Kay disappeared, a brown package arrived at the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. Inside, investigators found something they would never forget: a human jawbone, teeth still intact. Alongside it, a map scrawled in ink. The handwriting was stiff and oddly formal. The note and signed read, "You'll find more at the place marked. She should rest." Deputies followed the coordinates into the rugged terrain near Ammon Ridge Road, just south of Highway 36. Hidden beneath moss and leaves, they uncovered more skeletal remains, scattered yet disturbingly intact. Dental records confirmed it. It was Kay. how her remains traveled 45 miles from her home, how someone found them and decided to anonymously mail them to police, remains a mystery to this day. But even stranger was what wasn't said. The note didn't claim guilt. It didn't ask for forgiveness. It simply gave her back. A death certificate was issued in 1988. Cause of death, undetermined. Investigators never found any soft tissue, no organs, nothing that could point to how she died. But bones don't lie. The spacing of her ribs hinted at compression. Her skull showed no trauma. There were no signs of bullets or blades. No way to say whether she was murdered, died of natural causes, or something else entirely. And yet, someone knew exactly where to find her. Someone chose to deliver her piecemeal, like a puzzle missing too many pieces. In 1993, a partial skull washed up on the rocky coastline near Trinidad Head, over 100 miles from the other remains. Weather-worn and sun-bleached, it was cataloged, DNA taken, but no match was made. It was shelved, filed away as another Jane Doe in a long line of forgotten bones. Decades passed. The children Kay once taught had children of their own. Her husband grew older, then ill. He passed in 2010, never knowing what really happened to the woman he married. The silence around Kay's case stretched into years. Then, in 2024, a breakthrough emerged, not from confession or evidence, but from science. The Humboldt County Sheriff's Office, still haunted by the case, applied for cold case funding. With new resources, they reached out to Othram Incorporated, a forensic DNA lab in Texas specializing in advanced sequencing and genetic genealogy. Using technology that helped solve dozens of notorious cold cases, they reanalyzed the skull from 1993. This time, there was a hit. A distant cousin had submitted their DNA to a genealogy database. From there, the genetic trail narrowed. Investigators followed the line to a woman in Oregon. She was the daughter of Kay Medin. When they contacted her, the conversation was sobering. Yes, she'd given DNA for genealogy. Yes, her mother had gone missing in 1987. And yes, her mother's remains had been partially recovered. But not all of them. Until now, in May 2025, 38 years after Kay vanished, the partial skull from Trinidad Head was officially identified as hers. The news made headlines across the West Coast. The sheriff's office issued a statement, calling the identification a milestone and pledging to continue the investigation into her death. But the identification brought more questions than answers. Why was her skull found so far from her other remains? Was it washed downstream? Was it moved by wildlife? Or, more disturbingly, did someone scatter her intentionally? Who sent the bones in the mail? Why did they choose not to confess, but still lead police to her body? Was it guilt or pride? Theories swirled again, the way they had in the late 80s. Some believed the killer was local, a recluse, a hunter, someone who knew the woods well enough to hide a body for decades. Others thought it was someone close to her. Someone who knew her schedule, her routines. Someone she trusted. There were whispers about her husband, Nicholas. He had reported her missing. His story never changed. But some found it strange that there were no signs of forced entry, no defensive wounds, no blood. He died before DNA technology could exonerate or implicate him. His name remains neither cleared nor condemned. Then there were rumors about a former student, a man who'd grown unstable in later years, who allegedly had an obsession with her, but no physical evidence ever connected him. He moved away before her disappearance. The theory fizzled. One of the eeriest leads came from an anonymous tip in 1995. A man called the sheriff's office claiming he knew where the rest of her was. When asked to elaborate, the call disconnected. The number was untraceable. The case file grew thicker. The answers didn't. For Kay's family, the recent identification has been a strange kind of comfort. Her daughter released a quiet statement to local media. I grew up wondering if she was alive somewhere, wondering if she left us. But she didn't leave. She was taken. And someone out there knows why. Those words linger like fog along the Trinity River. Someone knows why. Kay was a woman of routine and reason. She didn't take spontaneous trips. She didn't run off. And yet she was gone, delivered back to the world piece by piece. There's a kind of cruelty in half-answers. The person who mailed her bones showed care, precision. They placed them in clean packaging. They labeled the map. They led investigators to her, like a child returning a stolen trinket. But they left no name, no apology, no truth. It was not closure. It was punctuation on a sentence no one finished writing. Even now, investigators comb through tips. The sheriff's department has vowed to continue their search for the person or persons responsible. Advances in forensic genealogy may one day connect the anonymous letter to a profile, a fingerprint, a family tree. But for now, the town of Hyampom remembers Kay Medin not by her death, but by her life. Her name is carved into a wooden plaque at the school. The garden behind her home still blooms each spring, untended yet resilient. And somewhere out there, a person walks free, carrying away to what they did. Sometimes justice takes time. Sometimes it comes quietly, wrapped in paper, marked with an X. And sometimes the bones speak louder than words ever could. 38 years later, and the truth still hides in shadows. Why was Kay Medin taken? Who knew her body was buried in the wilderness? And why did they lead police there in silence? Was the person behind the anonymous package trying to ease their conscience or mocking justice from a distance? And what if they're still out there, watching, waiting, holding on to the final piece of the puzzle? We now know how Kay's story ended, but we still don't know who wrote it. And until someone speaks, we're left with fragments, bones, a map, and a lifetime of unanswered questions. If you found this story as chilling and tragic as I did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because there are more stories like this one waiting to be told. Stories with secrets buried just beneath the surface. And one day, maybe the next piece of evidence will finally crack the silence wide open. The question is, will you be here when it happens?